As a teacher, it's believing that Pilates can help. It will help. And trusting that the method that we teach is safe for women with any pelvic floor dysfunction. And that's something that I hear a lot in the fears of teachers and the fears of women going to Pilates is it going to make it worse? Am I going to make it worse? And actually, if we work through the concepts in this way, you're going to skyrocket and change women's lives by doing it in this way, for using these concepts. It's really logical, and therefore Pilates can deliver on a consistent basis if we let go of the must just strengthen the pelvic floor idea. Welcome to Hope for Your Pelvic Floor, the podcast where honest conversation meets real evidence-based solutions for your pelvic health. I'm Claire Sparrow, second generation Pilates teacher, educator, and best-selling author. I'm here to help you understand your body better, move with confidence, and finally get answers that make sense. Each week we'll bust myths, share insights from movement science and pelvic health research, and give you practical steps you can actually use in your everyday life. Because pelvic health isn't just about exercises, it's about reconnecting with yourself, one breath, one choice, and one movement at a time. Let's get started. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the 5 things that I would really love all Pilates teachers and all women attending Pilates to know when they go about doing or planning their Pilates sessions. That's what we're going to cover in today's episode. Before we go into that, I'm going to just do a little quick Claire shares, just a quick one. And one of the things, so every week I share one of the things I've been thinking about or considering, or something that's been helping me of late. And one of the things that's really been on my mind, and as I think I'm about to say it, it seems so obvious, but I feel I need to say it out loud so that I can reinforce this learning for myself. And it is that there is no such thing as perfect. And I know I am not the only person who works on their perfectionist tendencies. And recently I've really been thinking about what I envisage or visualize in my mind and the way I want things to turn out and be, that it's really okay if those things don't turn out quite like that. I imagine that I'm going to teach and it's going to be this way, and then it actually turns out another way. An example is this weekend I taught the most beautiful group of teachers. I run a small Pilates teacher retreat every year. I do retreats for clients also, and this was my teacher retreat. We spend 2 days together and it's just a beautiful reconnection. And I plan for this pretty much all year. So I'm already thinking about next year's retreat because I absolutely adore holding space for teachers and having this curated experience for them. And so I plan the weekend, and inevitably, because I'm very excited, I plan way too much to fit into the allotted time. So this weekend we had our retreat, and it felt so much more important to be luxurious around their needs and wants and questions than fulfilling the plan that I had made, and letting go of that ideal and need for it to be perfect actually made it more perfect, because I wasn't holding on to something that didn't even make sense to hold on to, because it wasn't what they needed in that moment. And it was just a great reminder of letting go, of not controlling the outcome as much, and perfect being actually something other than what I'd planned. So that's what's been on my mind this last week. Hopefully that little reminder serves you as well. On to today's topic. The 5 things that I would really love Pilates teachers to know, and also for any of you attending or thinking about attending Pilates. You'll know if you've read the book that I already laid out some real specifics of how to alter or explore your Pilates exercises a little bit differently if you've got prolapse, for example. And if you haven't read the book yet, the audio book Hope for Your Pelvic Floor just came out last month, so maybe this is the time to get yourself into the book, and it will answer and go into the very specifics of that as well. And today I wanted to outline the 5 key concepts that make up the whole body pelvic health method and why that works in the context of Pilates. Pilates is a whole body method, and Joseph Pilates, really, when you read his work and the teachings that have, his legacy that we are all teaching as Pilates teachers, it really is strongly about whole body health. That's one of his overriding beliefs and principles of Pilates. So it really does lend itself. And as much as more men are doing Pilates, they really, really are. And I'm teaching a fabulous male teacher now that I believe is going to be the male equivalent of me in the years to come, supporting men's pelvic health. We are currently still teaching more women. If you're listening, you're probably a woman going to Pilates, or you're a teacher that's a woman and you are part of that opportunity to support women. Because at minimum, 50% of women have some kind of pelvic floor dysfunction, whether it's incontinence or prolapse. There's something happening for them. So we're in this great position where we're just really well placed to support women. And those of you going to Pilates, you're already doing the right thing. There might just be some nuances to play with and explore. So those 5 concepts that we are going to cover today are mindset, breath, release, range of movement, and coordination. And you'll notice in there, I didn't once say strength, because that is an integrated piece of the whole, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And what I've found over the years, the same phrase keeps coming up with Pilates teachers and with the women that I teach, is that whole body pelvic health has become a lens, a new way of viewing Pilates. So it's just flavoring what they know and do just a bit differently. So we've got mindset, breath, release, range of movement, and coordination. And each of these kind of goes in order or integrates together. So the first bit is actually mindset. So that first concept, and it's everything from believing you can make a change to your pelvic health. As a teacher, it's believing that Pilates can help. It will help. And trusting that the method that we teach is safe for women with any pelvic floor dysfunction. And that's something that I hear a lot in the fears of teachers and the fears of women going to Pilates is it going to make it worse? Am I going to make it worse? And actually, if we work through the concepts in this way, you're going to skyrocket and change women's lives by doing it in this way, for using these concepts. The other part of mindset is not just believing that you can improve your pelvic health, but actually that the medical model is outdated and it's misinformed. It's not the solution that actually works, and that you believe that working your whole body versus your pelvic floor in isolation actually makes way more sense. It's really logical, and therefore Pilates can deliver on a consistent basis if we let go of the must just strengthen the pelvic floor idea. So you have to be like bought in. You have to have that first belief in this way of supporting your pelvic health versus just squeezing it and hoping that that's going to work. So that's our mindset, our concepts around mindset. And then the second concept is breath. Breath is such a big thing, and every time I come to record a podcast, I've got something to say about breath. That just shows you how important it actually is. We cover it in so much depth in whole body pelvic health, whether you're doing the teacher mentorship or whether you're doing the online membership. And of course, we all know that breath is giving energy, and that is giving healing opportunity into our body. And it's so much more than that. It's the importance of the coordination of your breath. So sometimes in a Pilates class, you might lie down and you might go, okay, take a deep breath in and now breathe out and move. What I would suggest is that we need to actually breathe out first and let the inhale be a reflex. Many of us are stressed, we're busy, we're frantically doing this, that, and everything, being everything to everyone. And so we're breathing up here, we're tight, we're short, we're stuck. And so if we then inhale, we're just going to feel more stressed and more up there, and it's not affecting your pelvic floor. What we really need to do is breathe out and then let the inhale come as a reflex, and it will come lower, it will come deeper, it will communicate with your pelvic floor. And that's a big part of this breath concept, is the coordination, that when you breathe in, you're breathing in and down into your pelvis, and your pelvic floor is lengthening down in response. But if you're breathing in up here in the stress and panic of life, then you're not going to have that downward movement that stimulates your pelvic floor. So it's really important that maybe we actually stand up and breathe at the beginning of class. Or if you work with the pedipole, you stand against the pedipole, or just stand with your back against the wall. Be upright instead of lying down. And the reason that's important is because this is how we are designed to be, upright. So we're putting the body in the alignment that makes it easiest to achieve breath coordination. So diaphragm movement with pelvic floor movement, which is so, so important. And then the other piece of breathing that I think is important to say, because whether you've got a pelvic floor thing going on or not, we see this and hear this all the time in Pilates, that, oh, I feel like I'm just holding my breath, or I'm getting the breath wrong. And the idea of being, holding your breath means that your abdomen can't move and your abdominal muscles cannot be involved and supportive with your pelvic floor, because they coordinate. Your pelvic floor and your abdominal muscles coordinate with one another. So we need to have movement of your abdomen. And this might be earth-shattering to hear, that if you hold your tummy in, if you pull your abdomen in, you're actually making it very, very difficult for your pelvic floor to do its job, the job that you want it to do, to have the stamina for a long walk, to not be incontinent, all the things that you want for your pelvic floor. And so as a Pilates teacher or practicing Pilates, going to a class, it's really important that we allow the natural motion and responsiveness of the abdominal muscles rather than gripping and bracing, because that prevents the breath from moving, it prevents the pelvic floor from functioning, and so we're not helping in that whole body way that Joe designed us to be able to do through his method. I feel like that was one of those mic drop truth bomb moments there. But hopefully when you experience it in your own body, it will make sense to you. The third concept here is release, and this is about reducing the tension in the areas of your body that influence the normal function of your pelvic floor, and also hydrating. So it's like doing certain movements and techniques where it generates almost like your own internal WD-40, or if you imagine, I use this, it's awful, but it works, this image of, a sponge. If you've got a beautiful natural sponge and you've left it on the bathroom shelf, it's got all dry and crusty and it doesn't move, and you wouldn't want to wash your body with it. But once you've soaked it in the water for a while, it soaks up that water. It becomes really mobile and flexible, and the same is true for your body. It is so important that we release tension, and areas like your deep hip muscles, your hamstrings, for example. And sometimes when we go to Pilates, we notice, oh yeah, I've got tight hamstrings or tight hip flexors. They're pulling on your pelvic floor and they make it difficult for your pelvic floor to function. And we might think that we need to stretch them, but if we use the image of the sponge again, it's dry. What are you going to do if you pull the two ends of the sponge? You're actually going to rip and tear it. You're not actually going to get more movement and length and hydration in there. So that's why it's really important that we do movement rather than stretching. We don't push into that stretchy, stingy feeling. We do a movement that will help us to do that. So something like feet and straps circling on the reformer would be a glorious way to work on that. And then our fourth concept is range of movement or range of motion. And it's so important. All of the joints. So when we're talking about range of movement, most of the time I'm talking about the range of movement of your joints. When we talk about release, we're talking about the range of motion of your tissue, the hydration and capacity of your tissue. All the joints of your pelvis, so your hip joints, the spine, the joints at the back of your pelvis, sacroiliac joints, your pubic symphysis at the front where the two halves meet, they all are designed to have some movement in them. And for example, if you sit a lot, you might have less movement in your hips, and this will have an impact on your pelvic floor because it attaches to all of those bones in the base of your pelvis. So the more you can get the joints moving, the more you get your pelvic floor moving. It then has an awareness of itself and can work more spontaneously in your life. So it's really important. And the other piece of range of movement is that it improves your posture. And if you're better aligned, so if your head is back on top of your shoulders, we take a lot of weight off your pelvic floor, so it doesn't have to work quite so hard. And finally, that last piece, the last concept, the fifth one, and I really mean like this is the final piece of the puzzle. It's your coordination. You cannot coordinate your pelvic floor if the structure is not in balance, if your breathing is topsy-turvy. We have to wait till we have done all those other pieces to then have the coordination. And that might be that you do one movement that does all of those things, and the coordination comes via that movement at the end. Or it might be that you're doing a class where you do lots of breathing and release work at the beginning. The middle of the class is lots of range of movement, which then feeds into coordination. And what I mean by coordination, the idea of your pelvic floor being weak and you just squeezing it every time you stop at the traffic lights is not going to teach your pelvic floor to coordinate itself, to activate itself when you cough or you sneeze or you have a big belly laugh, or you go for a run or jump on a trampoline or go for a long walk or want to have an intimate relationship. You need your pelvic floor to know what to do without you telling it to. In Pilates, you're helping it to find that coordination. So you might talk to the pelvic bones to help narrow and widen and teach it what it's meant to do, so that when you're out in the real world, it knows how to coordinate. It becomes strong, but strong in its coordination rather than just squeezing short. Because squeezing and shortening it is just not what you need. It makes no sense. So by keeping that coordination concept to the end, it will give you longevity in your pelvic health. And this is, Pilates it's just a gift for this. It's just a gift. So you might do lots of footwork and feet and straps, and then you might do knee stretches, one of my favorites if you're doing reformer class. In the mat, you might do some bridging and bent knee openings, and then you might do quadruped. There's so many beautiful movements in our repertoire. Whatever school you trained with, whatever school your teacher trained with, whatever type of class you're going to, you have the tools. It's applying these concepts to make them just sing and be really what your female clients and male clients, but we're talking predominantly about women. So I really hope that by sharing these concepts in this way, through the lens of applying them in your weekly Pilates class or as a Pilates teacher, it helps you see just how safe and how important Pilates is for your pelvic health. And if you're a teacher and you're like, wow, I didn't realize that actually I could help women and I don't need to be afraid, and you want to learn more, I have so many resources for you. And if you're in America, whether you're a teacher or you're interested in learning more with me in real life, I'm actually going to be in New York. So if you can get yourself to New York on the 27th of July, I would absolutely love to get to see you and support you in real life. I am going to be at the birthplace of Pilates, sort of. I'm going to be at Joseph Pilates' original studio on 8th Avenue in New York. It's called Nice and Tall Pilates. And we are doing 2 workshops, one for teachers and one for clients interested in learning what's possible for their pelvic floor. So if you'd like to join me, I will drop the link below. And this week, I would love you to think about this lens of the 5 concepts of whole body pelvic health, whether you're teaching or attending your weekly class. Mindset, breath, release, range of movement and coordination. That's what you need to know. So that's a wrap. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Hope for Your Pelvic Floor. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review and share it with someone who needs it. It really helps more women find the support they deserve. And if you would like deeper support from me, head over to wholebodypelvichealth.co.uk to explore the membership and the offerings that I have for teachers. You can ask for more from your pelvic floor, and I'll be here, your voice of hope, every step of the way. And I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.